Hey, it's Matchmaker Ana, and I'm back this week with Sexologist Kimani, and we're gonna talk to you today about dating and sex.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Kimani,
Hey, Anna.
introduce yourself.
Okay, so I am Kimmy. Everyone calls me Kimmy LaVag because that's my specialty. I am a sex health and wellness coach. So I basically talk to people about maintaining their sexual health, male, female, changing your diets to help with sexual performance issues, and I answer all kinds of anonymous questions, and I keep them all on my website, vforvag.com. So anything about sex, that's right up my alley. So that's pretty much it.
Oh, cool. I like her because she keeps it real. Um, it's still professional, but it's real information as well. She's not just gonna BS you or tell you what you want to hear. She's going to tell you the truth and let you kind of take it from there.
Exactly.
So let's dive in. Where do you want to start? Let's start at the first beginning. I think a lot of people want to know, like, when you are dating and you're meeting someone, you're getting to know them, like, how soon is too soon to talk about sex, to introduce sex to the relationship? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, I think it depends on the individual, but at the same time, you want to play it smart. You don't want to run based on whatever your loins are saying. You want to kind of use your head and also use your instincts as well. Even if you feel like that person is the one that you want to sleep with, that doesn't mean you have to. You got to kind of figure out, is he crazy? Is she crazy? You know, are they someone that I see myself procreating with? Because that's always something to be concerned about. And then take it from there. Make sure you do your homework first and then kind of let the rest of the evening, if you will, lead into whatever happens next.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I know I've had people who, in the past, before talking to me, they may meet someone 1 minute and, I mean, like maybe 1 week, and they may be dating for a week, and they have people coming over to their home and chilling, and sex is introduced like so quickly, and it's like you don't even have a chance to see if this person is really who they say they are.
Right.
I think that it's kind of weird. They're so over sex now. I think people are kind of overstimulated as far as sex, and they really have kind of unrealistic views. We don't really know how to navigate the whole taboo topic of sex and dating. Yeah, we know we're supposed to wait until marriage, but who really does that? I mean,
Right. It's not always practical. I mean, the thing is, like you said, everybody's so overstimulated. You think that it has to happen right away. It really doesn't. You do it when you feel comfortable, but at the same time, make sure that you're not jumping into something that's gonna potentially cause you harm, whether it's emotional, physical. You want to make sure that it's right. Even if, you look at him or her and you find them attractive, that doesn't mean that you have to jump right in. Kind of pull back the reins a little bit, I guess you could say, because everybody has that opportunity to do whatever you want. But is that the right thing to do right now? Are they gonna follow me tomorrow and try to come back to my house afterwards? Do I even want to see them again? Like, you definitely have to think about it first.
yeah, I think they don't really take that into consideration. It's like you don't even really know if you like this person for real. Like, you like the image that they have showed you. And yeah, in a perfect world, we would like for everyone to be real and keep it 100 when they come, to us and present themselves to us. But that's just not how it is nowadays. It really isn't.
People pretend a lot. And that's the dangerous part. You think he's into you, you're having this great conversation tonight, and you feel like you share the same interests, and then you go home with him or you bring him home with you, and then tomorrow you find out he's a completely different person. It's like the meme I've been seeing on Instagram. Let me be who you want me to be tonight so I can smash. Like, you know, do you really want that? You want to be careful.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the funny thing is that women play into it so much because the guy would be like, well, tell me what you like. What is it that you like on the first date? And the girls would, they just blurt out everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like this and that. And it's just like, okay, you just gave him the playbook.
Right. And he's taking notes. Trust and believe. If he's a smart con man, he's taking notes. Now he knows what you like. He's going to make sure that every time he comes around, he's saying something you like, or he's quoting some song that you love. And you gave him all of that on the first date. Too much. Definitely too much. You got to make them do at least a little bit of homework. Try to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, and then you really get to see who that person is. You know, if they are really romantic or if they're just playing their role in order to get you in bed. I don't want to bash anyone, but what about women who may be a little too forward with men? You know, some men want to kind of take it slow, especially once they get to that point in life where they want to settle down. How do men, how do they, I don't want to say reject, but how do they kind of slow her down?
And that's the thing. I don't even know if there's a tactful way for a guy to slow a woman down. The same thing for a woman to slow a guy down. You have to kind of remember, especially if you're just getting to know someone, that you want to give them bits and pieces as you go along. Even if you feel like sex is your thing and that's all you want to do, make sure that you're, you know, letting them do a little bit of work. Don't just throw yourself out there. And that's male and female. It's not tasteful to just put yourself on the table and be like, hey, this is it. Like, you know, what you want to do tonight, because the respect level is not going to be there. You haven't even had time to build the respect. So definitely want to take your time with that.
I agree with that. What do you think about the 90-day rule? Like, do you think that should be a starting number, or like, I have my own reservations about it.
Yeah, 90 days is a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like when you put stipulations on things like time frames, it makes it difficult. It makes things tricky. Now you're trying to find ways to make him wait, and he's been waiting for a month, or he's been waiting for a month and a half, and it's like, right. why are we waiting? Because someone told me that 90 days was appropriate. What if they said 60 days? What if they said 120? What if they said, wait a year? You're going to chase away so many people because of some obscure number that somebody chose. I don't even like odd numbers, so I would never choose 9, first and foremost.
I mean, my whole thing is, what if you wait those 90 days and then you get them in bed and then it's whack?
Right. Then you're
like, okay, now I've invested feelings into this guy with a whack dick, or this girl with you know, whack head game. Like, I just don't think that what works for one necessarily works for the other. And so you just have to kind of figure it out on your own. Like, what's an appropriate time frame for you to introduce.
On top of that, you may find that after the 90 days, you guys just aren't sexually compatible. And then what do you do now?
Right.
You might be into bondage, and he's like, I'm never trying that. I don't want you tying me up, or the other way around. And then it's like, I really like you, though.
Yeah.
Like, what happens?
Oh, I do it all the time. Yeah, he's such a good guy. But he's a good guy. He's just like, people can be good people. That doesn't make them good for you.
Right. Exactly.
Like, some of my exes, they've been great, you know, great people. Never mind. I mean, they would think so, but
Yeah.
they weren't good for me. And I didn't know that. I should have known, but you make your mistakes. But yeah, people
It's
can be great
trial and
people.
error. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make them right for you.
And the longer you wait, the longer you have to wait to figure that out. So I'm not saying put a time frame on it. I'm just saying wait at least long enough to figure that person out, get to know them. People are meeting on Facebook and Instagram, and then they smash in the next week, and it's like you didn't even have time to figure out that person's like STD status. You have to really be careful.
Buying gifts and going out,
Spending money on plane
eating.
tickets and all kinds of crazy
Right.
stuff, and it's like
And
you
then
may not
there,
be,
this person is like 50 pounds heavier than the pictures.
all you're getting is this much.
They hitting them angles on you, and
You gotta zoom all the way out. Let me see a full body shot just to be on the safe side. And not saying that that's all that matters, but you want to get the real person before you start giving them your energy and transferring all of that important stuff to them, because it may not be worth it.
Right. I agree with that. I agree with that. What about, okay, when people are dating and they are beginning to become intimate, how do you, what are some steps that people can take in order to not just show their whole hand as far as their skills, sexual skills, what they prefer? Like, what's a timeline? What kind of tips do you have for that?
I think, like you use the metaphor of showing your whole hand, it's one card at a time. The same way you learned these skills, you want to give them out at the same pace. You don't want to bring that person into your space and just give them everything all at once, because now it's like, where's all your tricks? You have none, because they know all of your tricks. You want to one thing at a time. As you get to know that person and you figure out what they like, then you start kind of pulling out some of the stops and saying, okay, I'm going to do this tonight, or I'm going to do that. Not saying that it can't be spontaneous, but you don't just throw that ass in a circle right now. You want to wait a little bit.
They've been busting it up in these Facebook groups. Listen.
Well, what they see may not necessarily be what they get. So you definitely want to be careful with that too.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, you start with oral sex and then transition. Like, how would you tell a client to? What would you tell someone that came to you?
I think with oral sex, it kind of tends to come naturally, no pun intended, but you're in the groove of things and it's right there. You're just gonna probably go for it anyway. So that usually tends to be the first thing that happens. Now, the rest of the things like kinky stuff usually comes afterwards. You don't want to throw that all in on the first night, because A, you may scare the person away, and B, you still want to get to know what they're into. So you might be pulling tricks out that they don't even like. So you got to take some time.
Well, how do you're talking about tricks, stuff that they may not like. How do you introduce what you like without scaring them away? Like, if you are into stuff that is a little bit more out there, say you're into electrostimulation or stuff like that.
That, I think, has to be a verbal conversation first. You can't walk into the bedroom with prongs or studs and things like that, trying to ease into.
They were like, "Oh, wait up, hold
on, what is that? Are you trying to electrocute me?" Like, no.
Right.
So you want to kind of, maybe even after sex, find out, well, what are you into? Talk. Because a lot of times people aren't having conversations. They're just having sex. They don't even spend time to converse and figure out what the next step is. They just do, and then think that that's how you figure it out, and it's really not. Sometimes you catch people off guard, or you end up doing something that they found kind of weird, and now they don't want to come back. the best way to find out what they like is to just ask, really.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't try to turn on that vibrator and stick it somewhere.
Trying to slide it on under the covers, like, what's that sound? We talked about this. That ain't nothing that we talked about.
Yeah,
so,
that could end up in a suplex or a DDT, and you want to be real careful with that.
Oh yeah. Now, when it comes to anal sex, what are your tips? I know some people are into it, some people are not into it.
It's still one of those conversation things. You definitely want to talk about it first. Don't try to surprise that person with it. And then, of course, you want to make sure you're prepared. I always recommend lube, 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 lube. Just lube all day, everywhere. And then, you know, preparation, I usually recommend, you know, trying to do an enema beforehand, but sometimes you don't have time for that. Just try not to eat right before.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about lube, what's a good kind to use? Now, I know. I used to recommend that people get a silicone base or a thick base gel for anal. So what would you?
I usually recommend if you're not into because it depends. Some people that I consult are very ingredient sensitive, so they may not go for silicone. But if you can find a very thick water-based lube, then definitely go with that. Thickness is important with anal because if it dries out mid-stroke, you are in trouble. So you definitely want to try out different consistencies and make sure that it's thick enough, regardless of what ingredients you choose. Because there are some really good vegan and vegetarian lubes that can work for anal.
Oh yeah, I know this one company. I think I can't remember, but they make really good lubricants, and even the one for the anal even has ingredients so that it relaxes your sphincter muscles and everything, so it doesn't hurt as much.
I think J.O. they have a really good lineup of lubes. They have a big selection. So they have silicone, they have some natural lines too. So I wouldn't say trial and error with that, but you want to definitely pick something that's thick enough to last before you get started.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I agree with that. Now, you mentioned bondage earlier. Would you say that that's becoming more popular now?
I think so, because especially in the age of social media, everybody's talking about the things that they do. It's not so much of a secret anymore. So more people are finding out that it's not as bad as it seems, because I think there was a misconception with bondage before that people who do it are deviants or creeps or, you know, yes, they're masochists and sadists, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that that's how they run their entire life. So now that everybody's having more conversation, I think it's becoming more popular because people are trying it out in different levels and seeing if they like it. And then, you know, 50 Shades, of course, kind of, confuse people.
Yeah. And then I think 50 Shades of Grey really kind of made it okay to like it. Like it made it mainstream.
Right.
Like it brought it to mainstream. I mean, I think because before doing this full time, the parties that I was doing, I would have parties for housewives, like up in the day, you know, while they would take their children to the church for the mommy and me, that, you know, they would all come together and have parties. And they bought that stuff. They loved the electrostimulation products. That was when I was first introduced to people shocking each other for a sexual thrill. I'm like, wow, for real?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I had these people who were buying like the urethral probes and like,
Yeah.
really? Like,
And that's the thing. I think a
y'all
lot of
like
people that people don't always understand that there's levels to it. It's not something that you just jump into and you're getting electrocuted right away. You can do what you're comfortable with. You don't have to do the extreme
right.
stuff. There are people who suspend themselves by their skin. Like, I'm not doing that, but some people will. So, you pick what your comfort level is, you ease into it, and then you discover if you want to go up a notch or not. You don't have to.
Now, let's talk romance. Like, what's your take on it? Do you feel like men and women are becoming less romantic, or do you feel like people are getting more creative with their efforts, but it's more so for show? Like they want to have a great video for social media, or you know what I'm saying?
I think with romance, it's becoming less private. And that goes for a lot of things that come along with sex nowadays. I saw a video on, I think it was on Facebook, with the guy tied up. He's in his underwear and there's candles everywhere. And it's like, why is this on the
Yeah,
internet? Like,
yeah,
the point of romance is to be intimate between you and your partner, not you and the internet. Because please be aware that everybody's going to see it and you can't stop it after it reaches that point. So I think it goes two ways. People are trying to turn it up a notch because they want people to be like, oh, wow, he's so romantic. She's so this. And then at the same
right.
time, people are also not doing it because they don't want to be made fun of. So it's a strange dynamic, but at the same time, people really need to pull back and realize that you're doing it for your partner. You're not doing it to impress anyone else.
Do you have any tips for people who may want to they may want to get a little bit more romantic and step up their sex game? Like they want to make it special. Like they don't just want it to be the same way it was with their past relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They really want to keep that spark.
I think part of it is just finding out what your partner likes. Once you realize what they're into, then you can kind of tweak it to be more special. Try to do something different. If you know that she's into a lot of foreplay, start incorporating things that you haven't usually used, like massage oils or flavored lubes and things like that. Candles. There's so many candles that melt into massage oil or lotion that you can
Mm-hmm.
try little things that may seem insignificant, but they make the whole entire night. So start off small and then go from there.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's funny how things are different between races. Like the way that white people approach sex and the way that black people approach sex is, I don't want to make it about race, but it's very, very different. And I even noticed that at the parties or whenever there are sexual products, black people tend to gravitate towards the creams and the enhancements, like not your toys. You're gonna go more for your creams, and you have white people who are gonna kind of go more for the toys, the props and stuff like that. Do you think that has an effect on it? Like, is there a block, kind of like a mental block, when it comes to certain things in the black community and the white community? Like, is it just why?
And I've actually noticed the same thing. A lot of times when I'm doing parties, I'll pull out a certain toy and like a lot of times in the Black parties, the women are like, I'm not using that, or I don't need that, and I'm not bringing that to my man. And I think it's more of an issue with feeling replaced or feeling inadequate. And that's not what toys are for. So once you reach that understanding that bringing these products in is a way to enhance the situation and make it more special or add something new, then you can become more comfortable with it, as opposed to feeling like when I'm not here, he's going to be using it, or when I'm not here, she's going to be using it. Now there's no need for me. So the thing that I always say is that a vibrator can't kiss, a vibrator can't hug or touch or massage. It's never going to replace you as long as you're present. So just make sure that it's not a substitute. If I'm tired, you're not just handing over the magic wand like, here, go take care of yourself. If you're tired, now you're using the magic wand as a way to help her get where she needs to go, and then now you can go to sleep. So I think it's just understanding in different levels.
Yeah. The biggest thing, I think, is communication, and that's what a lot of people don't have. Communication will make the sex better because your partner will know what you like, what you don't like.
Right.
It changes everything just by knowing and communicating with your partner. But a lot of people don't do that. They try to go based off of what they think people like, or and then people are afraid to talk about certain things in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's so surprising to me how many people haven't told their mate that they don't like the way that they perform oral sex. And instead they just go get oral sex from somebody else. And it's just like, why don't you just teach this person how to do it the way that you like it?
And the thing is that because you're so vulnerable after having sex, it's like that's the perfect time to be like, the tooth thing, can you kind of, leave the teeth out? That kind of hurt a little bit. Or, I really like the way you did that. Can you do that more often? Or, it's the perfect time is pillow talk time. It's just you and your partner. Just bring it up, put it out there. Don't wait till next week or next month to bring it up, because now it's like, well, why didn't you say something before? And then you create a level of discomfort or make it more difficult to actually communicate at that point.
Yeah. And you bring up another good point, is that a lot of people don't create a safe space for their partners to express their truth.
Right.
I hope people understand what I'm saying, but it's like people have to feel okay about expressing themselves to you. And if every time I come to you and tell you I don't like that, you blow up, or you get angry, you get an attitude, eventually I'm gonna stop telling you like what I don't like, or what how would you cultivate a safe space for someone to share their truth in sex? Like, how do you share your truth without making the other person feel defensive or ashamed, or
I think whenever you present a problem, you want to make sure you present a solution. So instead of just saying that it wasn't good, try and give them an option to do something else. The anal hurt, but maybe you could try adding some more lube, or doing a little bit slower, or make sure that they don't feel like you're just pointing fingers and blaming them for why you didn't enjoy yourself. Try to make it a two-way street. They can say, okay, well, I'll try that next time.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people don't know what the solution is to present, and I think that they're too lazy to look for it. It's like, I don't like this, but I don't know what else would make me happy in this, at this point. So yeah, I agree with it. I like that she said that. definitely present a solution if you want to present the problem.
And if you don't have a
Take
solution,
time out
try to do something different or do a little exploring and figure out the solution. So that way both parties are learning.
Yes. Now let's talk about threesomes and dating. Introducing another partner into your sexual relationship. Do you recommend? Yes, no? What are the rules to it?
I think it varies. You have to know your partner. You have to know what kind of relationship you have before you even try to introduce it. If you know that your partner is jealous, don't even bother. If you realize that both of you are kind of checking out people outside, like maybe at the mall or something, then there's a level of interest there, and maybe that's the conversation you're having. But if you know that if she catches you looking at a girl, she's like, "What are you looking at? You think she looks better than me?" Don't do it. That's a recipe for disaster. So you really got to know your partner and figure out if it's something that's worth trying. Because once you go in, you can't come back from it.
Yeah, that's true. I think people don't think it's enough. Then a lot of times you have one partner that wants it really bad, and then you have another who is, I don't want it at all. What do you do? Like if you're dating someone and they really want to trying to push you having a threesome, you're like, not in a million years.
That's the tricky part, because it's like, are you willing to compromise? That's something that you're gonna consider at some point. Is there a variable that has to be there in order for you to be okay with it? Because then if you feel like it's something that you can work with, then it's worth giving a try. If you set rules and say, okay, he has to be a complete stranger, or it has to be somebody that we know, or you never can speak to him again, or you got to make sure that if you're actually considering it, that it's on your terms at least 50%, because you're still involved in some.
Yeah, I agree. I think my my computer's like freezing.
Mine does it too. I don't know what's going on.
I don't want to say Google sucks, and I'm using their platform, but do better.
Yeah.
Do better. I'll
step it up, Google.
Okay. You talk about rules. What would you be the standard rules would be like? I would think that you would want to pick someone that you both know, because then it could turn into from a threesome to polyamory or something. Polygamy. So yeah, like what are the rules?
And that's the thing. It still matters what you as a couple are into. Like if you feel like you have a friend that you're comfortable with, that may be a little more explorative, I guess you could say. She's not afraid to try something, or he's not afraid to try something, or maybe somebody who's experienced in threesomes. If that's the route you want to go, then you have to make sure you're ready to go all in. But if you feel like it's going to be awkward afterwards, or somebody may catch feelings, then it might be best to choose a stranger, because now you can kind of push them back out of the situation.
I always tell people, look, go away somewhere and find someone that neither one of you know. Y'all never see this person again, because you don't want them to develop a relationship without you, especially if you're not into having a relationship that's not
right. And the only thing for me is the safety aspect that I always have to incorporate. If you're going away and you're doing it with a stranger, the female is kind of going to get the short end of that stick. If that individual is not in a healthy state, I guess you could say, you know,
Yeah.
the person who suffers the most is usually the woman. So you have to make sure that that's a risk that you're willing to take, and maybe even just try like a swingers club route instead, because they're usually tested and things like that. So, I mean, there's different ways to get it. You just got to figure out which one you want.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't know what happened. I'm back.
Hey, me too. I don't know what happened.
I don't even know.
This is crazy tonight.
Thanks, Google.
See, I said I wasn't gonna talk about them, and then they straight cut me off.
Yeah, no, that was bad.
I said, "Hey, let me show you something." Boop. Shoot, I forgot what we were talking about.
What were we talking about? We were talking about threesomes, and I guess how to decide that you want to do one with your partner.
Oh yeah. We were. I was saying me, and you were saying that the woman you get, it's the short end when the one we do go off and find someone for a threesome. But then, like, how soon do you incorporate threesomes into your relationship? If that's something that you like, is that something that you do once you're married, or do you do it during the dating process?
I think it's definitely something you want to do when you build up that level of respect between the two of you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be once you're married, but usually it takes a while to kind of know what your partner is going to be okay with. So maybe later on into the dating, maybe a few years after you've been together, it's definitely important to kind of build up that repertoire with your partner before you try to incorporate a third person in there. Because any sooner, too soon, and you may find that one of you wants to run off with the other person instead. So definitely got to be careful with that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I would say don't do it. Just if you're thinking about, like, if you still want to have sexual relations with other people, you just kind of don't need to be in a relationship. Um, I don't know. I just think that introducing someone is a recipe for disaster, especially if you're invested, especially with your feelings.
Right.
Right. It's a recipe for disaster because you never know what you're introducing.
And that's the thing, because if you bring somebody in that one of you finds yourself to be compatible with, what stops you from wanting to be with that other person? And now you've changed the whole entire dynamic of your relationship with something that you thought was only going to be for a night or so. So it's definitely
Right.
a slippery slope with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree. Now, when you're dating, you said the whole 90-day rule, you know, you have to figure out what that is for you. Would you say that, I don't want to say like a month or
Uh-oh. Did we lose Anna? Let's try to get her back. Oh, that's not it. I'm back again. I don't know what keeps happening. Can you see me?
I was just saying.
See, now I don't. Okay, now I can hear. Wait, now I don't hear anything again. Hey.